and welcome to all the men and women of the West. I'm Joe. Here with me is my co-host Dan.
Hello and greetings.
And today we're reviewing Kull from 1997. Right from the bat, this movie has an interesting intro. Sorbo narrates. Now, Kevin Sorbo is playing Kull. Everyone knows him from Hercules' Legendary Journeys, the famous, amazing TV series. Ian Griffith, who everyone knows as Terry Silver from Karate Kid, and Cobra Kai played the villain, Tergil, I think it is. The movie opens up with really bad, jarring heavy metal. You used the term jarring.
Yes, it wasn't the appropriate place and time for heavy metal. I love the music, but it wasn't fitting to the mood.
No. We find that Kull is battling near a pond, a lake, who knows. Rather than starting with him as a gladiator or as a pirate, because he started life off after he left Atlantis as a pirate, he's already a soldier in the army, I guess. But he seems to be trying out a position in the Black Legion. They don't make this clear. These first 3 minutes are very confusing. And that's not a mark in favor of the movie. On the other hand, Kull fails the test, mostly on account of being too low-born and being a barbarian, mocked for his barbarian blood, when a messenger arrives announcing that the king is killing his own sons, to which Kull responds with, "Oh, noble blood all over the palace floor," in a mocking tone that enrages the Black Legion. Sorbo actually excels at that part in portraying Kull. We're going to be saying that a lot because Sorbo did for all the problems the script had in terms of some CG, the problem with one or two other actors, Griffith, Tia Carrera, who plays Akivasha, the very hot redheaded sorceress witch, goddess, I don't know, demon? It doesn't really matter. And Sorbo are all on point. They're all perfect. The king is Borna, the guy Kull kills in the original short stories. Kull ends up fending him off from killing Griffith's character. Borna decides to try and kill him because both Kull and the villain, Tergil, are offended by Borna slaughtering his own sons, which, good to know, even evil has standards. Not many, but has some. At least at this point. Tergil, he's corrupted as the story progresses. The more he sees Kull dressed as king, the more he becomes jealous and wants the crown, because he's got a drop of royal blood himself. He was Borna's cousin. After Kull kills Borna, Borna's cousins all surge forward to try to bicker for the throne. Chief Minister 2 is a little quicker to recognize Kull after Borna adopts Kull and says with his last breath that Kull is his heir, in a gesture meant to punish Kull, as apparently Borna was driven insane due to all the conspiracies against him, which, as we're going to see, nearly drives Kull a little bonkers. Initially takes to being king, he mocks the harem a little, bowing before them with an ironic tone to his voice. He flirts with priestess slave girl, Zoretta, who's poorly portrayed and played by an actress I forget the name of. You kind of forget she's there half the time. Zoretta defies Kull late one night. Kull decides in a fit to free all the slaves, and this scene's a little cringe. But then Kull goes to damage the stone tablets. Tu throws himself into the way and tells him that the law is more powerful than any one king, which this is actually a good idea, but the trouble is the law is kind of cruel. So we have a bit of a dilemma here. And it's a very interesting one, and it's very in line with the original stories. That said, the cousins of Borna whip up some trouble and try to have Kull assassinated during the coronation. Kull, though, fends off his assassins with the royal scepter. After he initially gets the scepter holding wrong, because he's got them mixed up, and Tu gently corrects him quietly before anyone can realize the mistake Kull has made. And you can see that Tu is kind of stage managing things, trying to make things as smooth as possible and help Kull. Because Tu genuinely doesn't seem to like the royal family, thinking them probably inbred, and it necessary to inject a bit of fresh blood onto the throne. I think he realized the empire's in dire straits.
Tu seems the kind that cares more about the kingdom and the empire than who sits on the throne.
Yep. The Topaz throne, though, is at the moment a source of great deal of trouble because there's too many claimants. I'm just saying. And what you'll note if you pay attention during the entire march to the coronation is that Kull is the only one with that certain shade of crimson red. You noted that. Dan, what I really liked was that this is Kull on horseback like that, marching through the city, is actually taken directly from the short stories. Now, along the way, he does free some priest who, well, I don't know how to describe him throughout this movie. He has a few good scenes, but he's...
As I mentioned, Iolaus Light from Hercules' Legendary Journeys.
Yeah. Sorbo tries to have chemistry with the priests of Valka's sister, Zaretta, but the actress is not trying. Or she's just that talentless. Thankfully, he's got a lot of chemistry with Tia Carrera. Sorbo and Tia are very, very charismatic individuals. So whenever they're on screen together, you almost see sparks on the TV screen. Sometimes literally, given that she's on fire in some scenes.
Yep.
But after Kull makes love to her, Akivasha pretends to have killed Kull. She was actually supposed to genuinely kill him. This was the plan that the priest and the two cousins of Borna had instructed her to do, as they had planned to kill Kull. She has Kull imprisoned. Kull escapes, much to her fury. But the thing is, she's usurped authority from these buffoons because she's Queen Dowager. On the other hand, she genuinely seems to be interested in Kull now because apparently he impressed her on their wedding night. Lucky him. However, Kull teams up with Priest, who has sworn not to kill, which does result in a pretty good one-liner, where Kull tells him, "Now you tell me," after the guy tosses him the sword back. But the problem with this guy being a priest of Valka is that Valka is supposed to be god of Atlantis. And in the short stories, Kull is looked down upon for worshipping Valka because it's a foreign god. And Kull refuses to assimilate to the religion of Volusia. That said, they then team up with a pirate and swear to embark upon a great quest to find the lost island of ice, which no one has ever been able to find since the fall of Acheron, the ancient empire that Akivasha ruled over. They struggle against some pirates who were originally friendly with Kull. I swear the captain kind of wanted Kull more than Akivasha did. They then defeat the pirates and immediately find the island of ice, who knew it was right across the bay. They struggle through there. Zaretta just simply has to offer up a striptease to Valka to get through his puzzles and traps. Tergil comes to the rescue of Kull, only to then kidnap Zaretta and forget that he was there to kill Kull. Oops. I guess if it's not written down, he doesn't remember to do it. Okay, so he had groceries, birthday party, rescue stripper, but nobody said anything about Kull, so I guess he just assumed he's supposed to rescue him rather than kill him. That part was poorly written. In turn, Kull rushes off to go rescue Zaretta. Akivasha throws down a lot of fire at him. Kull dashes past, comes to the rescue of Zaretta, who's half dead because of the breath of Valka. He fights off Tergil, kills him. Pretty good fight scene, actually. Then proceeds to breathe the breath of ice of Valka into Akivasha in a manner that's just disgusting considering the beast on screen. Who'd have thought they would try to use CG to make Tia Carrera look ugly? It's just disgraceful. Come on. At least leave her pretty. Because we got one last part right before Akivasha is killed. The priest tries to imitate Thulsa Doom from the Conan the Barbarian movie by throwing a snake dagger in what is a really good nod to the Conan the Barbarian movie and James Earl Jones's character. This might sound weird, but I actually like that this priest epic fails it. He tries to act like he's James Earl Jones Thulsa Doom, but he fails at it as Kull catches the snake dagger, which becomes, of course, a snake, and tosses it right back at the guy, and it kills the guy. Of course, after Kull kills Akivasha, he recognizes Zaretta as his queen. Why? Proceeds to destroy the stone tablet holding Volusia's laws and proclaims himself king and that he will rule by right of his battle axe. I wish he had kept the extended part of the speech. It's not very long, but it's good. This movie has got some good nods. The song that plays when Kull and Tergil rush to Borna's palace is a great nod to Riders of Doom from Conan. It sounds a lot like it, but it sounds different from it in such a way that you could believe that it was a rudimentary version of Riders of Doom, or at least a prequel version, which that's what this is, a prequel.
I really enjoyed a lot of the story. Kevin Sorbo nailed it. I like that he was trying to distance himself from Hercules' Legendary Journeys.
Yeah, with the character portrayal. He's not trying to play Hercules.
But it seems like there's people in production that were trying to make it Hercules-like.
On the other hand, they were trying to, at quite a few points, genuinely capture the feel of Howard's story.
Yes. And I was able to sit down, watch it, and enjoy it.
I remember a few years ago watching this for the first time and not really caring for it. I was really prepping myself for a really bad movie when we sat down to watch this, but I found that I actually enjoyed it. Especially after having read the short stories, I watched it and I went, this isn't that bad. The music's pretty good. Acting by some, like Thomas Ian Griffith, is great. But Griffith, though his greatest role will always be Terry Silver, he is perfect. He's a perfect actor. He can't do a bad job, I think. Kevin Sorbo, like him or hate him, is a great actor. He does do a great job. Then you've got Tia Carrera. She just oozes sexuality, sensuality, and of course charisma. She's a very charismatic actress. She's done a lot of action shows and movies like Relic Hunter. She's really good, of course. The actor for 2 nails it. I never quite imagined 2 being fat, but it fits for some reason. Then you got the actress for Zaretta is just constant miss. The actor who plays her brother does a bit of a good job. I've got mixed feelings.
They should have brought in Brule.
Yeah, Brule definitely would have fixed this. Brule is sorely lacking from this movie, and he's Kull's sworn brother. He should be in this movie. He's the second most important character, if not just as important as Kull, in Kull's stories. Because it's Brule who kind of balances out Kull. When Kull is hot-headed, Brule is calm. When Brule is hot-headed, Kull is calm. But where Kull is a depressed nihilist, Brule is a pragmatist who just says, hey, you have food on your table, you have clothes on your back, a roof over your head. That's better than nothing. Whereas Kull just looks at the darker side in life. He's never quite satisfied with what he has. That said, let's rate this movie. The direction is good. The music is so-so. The acting, amongst most of the actors, is... Oh, and the one fire priest is really good. He's a good villain. And there are scenes with him that really feel Howardian. Like when he's eavesdropping on Thomas Ian Griffith and Akivasha, he sees and hears both of them insult each other. And you know what? It also reminded me of Richard III, the play, which is the kind of nod that Howard would have done. So in some ways, this is the only movie after Conan the Barbarian that truly feels like it's a Howard story. Every other flick has never felt quite right. This one does feel kind of right, except for Zaretta. Okay, you rate it first. How would you rate it? And why?
2.5. It could have been better. They should have extended aspects of the beginning and the middle so that way they could cover things that seemed like they missed because they skipped over a lot of necessary details. But overall, it is a great movie and I do recommend people watch it.
I don't want to give the same rating as you, but I can't rate it higher or lower. It is above average. It's not perfect, but it's one of those, there are times when it's bad, but it's so bad it's good. But then there are times when it's just bad. But then there are other times when it's great. So yeah, I might say 2.5, and that's very tentative. Maybe if I were to rewatch it, I might rate it higher or lower. But using these kind of stars is relative, as Roger Ebert once said.
I wish there was a director's cut or something like that.
Yeah, this movie should have had an extra 30 to 40 minutes. It's only an hour and a half long, but it did need more fleshing out. It could have been at least 2 hours or so. But I do feel grateful that they didn't make it as long and tedious and as narcissistic as some directors tend to be, because you got movies of today and in the past 20 years that have felt like they stretch out like between 2.5 hours long to 4 hours long that just feel like a vanity project, or like the director is kind of trying to sing a great opera song just to his own glory, and there's no thought to the actual story or character or whatever. Here you could tell the director was a fan of Howard, that there was genuine affection for Howard. I also got the feeling Sorbo kind of read Kull the King stories, that he may have read a few and even some Conan stories to capture the character. I just have the feeling he did dye his hair dark for the character so that he does look exactly like the character from the old art that you sometimes see of Kull the King. So I don't know, I really do appreciate this film and the effort put in. You can see the effort. It almost felt like it was shot on location. I'm joking. But anyways, if you enjoyed this video, tell us what you think. And don't forget to smash that like and that subscribe button like your Kull smashing the stone tablets. Especially if you want to stay tuned for next time, where we try to say how we would fix this movie.